By the end of this video, I want you to know everything that there is to know about emotions. And hopefully after this video, you don't have to watch another video on stoicism or controlling your emotions again. And this is all based off of my opinions and my experiences and the knowledge that I've gained from said experiences. And you may not agree with all of it, but there is definitely some value to be taken from this video, no matter who you are. So as always, subscribe, stick around to the end, and check out the link, check out the description for my coaching. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is stoicism and the fact that people actually perceive stoicism as toxically masculine, which kind of surprised me when I found this out. Now, people on the internet think stoicism is the art of being devoid of emotion and completely emotionless, which isn't such a good trait to have. And this may be why they perceive it as toxically masculine. However, the definition of stoicism is actually quite different to being completely devoid of emotion. And they have the wrong idea of what stoicism is, which may lead them to believe the fact that it's toxically masculine. And the fact is, stoicism is not about being devoid of emotion. It's about transferring your negative emotions into positive emotions. And this is such a beneficial thing. I don't see why many people think it's toxically masculine, but it's probably because they just have the wrong end of the stick on what they think it is. And if you still think it is, even after hearing my definition, which all it takes is one Google search on like literally writing stoicism in the Google search bar, and it will come up with this in so many different websites and places. And if you still think it is, then hopefully you end up changing your mind, because getting rid of negative emotions in your life seems like such a beneficial thing to anyone, no matter who they are. So the art of becoming more stoic and transferring your negative emotions to positive emotions is by changing what you can and ignoring what you can't. Now, changing what you can, for instance, would be your financial position or your physique. Your financial position, you may not be able to provide for your family, or you may be going through financial instability. You may not just have enough money for your health in general, and things may be going bad for you. That is something that you can change for most people, obviously. Obviously, there are some people where this is going to be more difficult than others and near on impossible, but for the majority of people, this is something that is changing what you can. And your physique, for example, you may be fat or skinny, and you can change that. It is in your task to change that. And you can start going to the gym, start bulking, start cutting, doing whatever you can to transfer the negative thoughts about your physique into positive thoughts about your physique. And hopefully you don't end up with body dysmorphia where you think like, oh, I'm never going to be big enough and stuff like that. Because you should always improve your mental health and try to be positive about how far you've come, and not think about how far you've still got left to go. Because realistically, having positive emotions about your physique when you have a nice physique is something that's so nice when you remember where you first initially came from. And changing what you can't, for instance, would be like a breakup, or like your height or your hair colour, your eye colour. For instance, many people are short out there. I'm also quite short on average, and that's not something that I can change realistically. My height is predetermined, predestined, and I will try to fill out like the full potential height, which is probably still like 6 foot and under maybe. And right now I'm not that tall, but it's not something that I can change, and your height is not something you can change, and it shouldn't be something that you give your thoughts to. You should not have negative thoughts about things that you can't change about your body, for instance your height, for instance your hair colour, and you will become a more stoic and more positive person because you've transferred the negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And the way to do this is basically by meditation and journaling, mindfulness, and your basic mindfulness practices that are so common on self-improvement. And maybe this is your first self-improvement video you've ever watched, and you're quite clueless on what meditation and journaling might actually be. And I've done videos on journaling specifically in the past, which you may want to check out if you want. However, I'll give you a brief description of what meditation and journaling is. And I'm going to go over this in a latter part of the video as well. But for now, meditation and journaling is basically where you relax your brain, and it's almost like an exercise for the brain. You've got your bicep curls, you've got your bench presses, but this is like your bicep curls and your bench presses for the brain. Meditation is you try to like literally eradicate every thought by focusing on your breathing. in like a pattern. You will close your eyes and your focus will be entirely diverted onto breathing. And for journaling is where you think about your thoughts and your feelings, you evaluate them, you ask yourself questions, journaling's quite a complicated practice, and compared to what many people think it is, it's a lot harder to do and find value out of it than you may actually think. So I do a video on that, and I recommend checking it out after this, because there's value in this video and there's also value in that video as well. But hopefully you now kind of get the idea of the basic meditation journaling practices. And the next section of the video that we're going to talk about is vulnerability and emotion. Now this is also quite a controversial topic in a way, and right off the bat I'm going to disclaim myself and clear myself of any kind of internet cancellation and say that you should not bottle up your emotions. Bottling up your emotions is an incredibly bad thing to do for your mental health, and maybe I might be the first person in self-improvement space to say this, but bottling up your emotions is just not a good idea, and I'll explain why in the future. But the reason that many people say that, oh, you should be emotionless and you shouldn't show emotion to everyone, is that there are certain people that you shouldn't show emotion and vulnerability to, and there are two types of people that you should not show emotion and vulnerability to, and one type of person which you should. Because there are some people who obviously you're going to show emotion to them, you're going to open up to them about your thoughts, your feelings, things that may be going wrong in your life, your problems, and etc., and they will make fun of you. These people, you do not want to be around them in general, and you don't want to open up to them, and finding out who these people are is actually quite difficult. That is the first type of person, because obviously when you open up to them, you become vulnerable, you show a softer side to you instead of your maybe normal big man side or whatever, and they will make fun of you for it. And that's obviously going to make your emotions, your negative emotions, a lot worse. And there's a third type of person, which is the person that doesn't deserve to be burdened with your problems. Now this is also quite an interesting topic, and it's the fact that you wouldn't go up to someone who is a lot younger than you. Maybe they are in primary school and you're an adult. Let's just ignore all the fact that that is incredibly weird in general, but you wouldn't go up to a kid who's younger than you and explain all the problems in your life. You wouldn't go up to a kid and explain the fact that you've got a lot of health problems, you're plateauing in the gym, your business isn't doing so well as you thought it would, your career is going downhill, your boss is annoying you. You wouldn't burden a child with your problems. And the same thing applies to certain people who are your age. You wouldn't maybe burden your girlfriend or your partner with your problems, because they may not need that kind of thing, because they may have problems of their own. They don't want to hear about your problems because, one, they may not even be able to solve them, and that's going to just kind of make the whole process redundant, but they may start to subconsciously respect you less because you created a problem for them. Being vulnerable and emotional in front of someone, they may just subconsciously think that, great, that's going to be another problem that I need to solve for someone else, and it diverts attention away from their own internal problems and their own internal thoughts and feelings. And while they may not visibly make fun of you, these kind of people are not the people that you want to open up to, specifically for their own benefit. And obviously, if you want self-improvement, you want to help people. That's kind of a good thing to do just in general life. And the third person, which is the type of person that you should open up to, is sort of your brotherhood, your masculine brotherhood, your close friends, your older brother, your parents. These are the kind of people that you should open up to, because instead of starting to respect you less, because for instance, I've opened up to many people in my life, and I've found that often when I open up to some people, they start to just not talk to me as much as they used to, for whatever reason. This may be subconscious, and as I say, this is my own experiences. You may have different experiences, and other people may have different experiences, but for some people who I opened up to, who were new to me, and I hadn't been great friends with them before, they started to kind of just go off me and start to speak to me less. And obviously you don't want that. You want to make more friends and have good relationships with people. So you should open up to people who are already like your brotherhood and are already incredibly close to you, because hopefully these people will respect you so much for opening up, and they will help you solve your problems instead of making fun of you. And if you currently don't have like a brotherhood, and your friends are the type of people that if you opened up to them would still make fun of you, then I do a video on how to surround yourself with better people, and I'll put that in a card or something, as with all the other videos that should help you in this video. But you should open up to those types of people, because realistically, they are going to help you solve your problems together, and you will eventually help them solve their problems. And this is how like really good, strong relationships are created. And obviously, I say where to find those masculine kind of brotherhood, your really close and tight-knit friends, in another video which was in the card. But it's quite difficult to find the other people who are going to make fun of you for opening up and becoming vulnerable. And I've not actually quite thought about that as much, but it seems to me just like you shouldn't open up to people who are quite new to you. You shouldn't open up to people who are like further behind you in your self-improvement journey, because they may end up making fun of you because they're insecure about the fact that they're not on self-improvement, and that will cause them to make fun of you and stuff. Some people may want to improve themselves and may like help solve your problems in return for them solving theirs. That can happen, but maybe it's best that you just don't open up to people who aren't on self-improvement, and don't do things like going to the gym, because opening up to like some guy that's in the gym is going to be much more beneficial to you, and he's probably going to help you a little bit than someone like randomly on the street that doesn't need your problems when they've got problems of their own. So hopefully you take that bit of advice with you. And now we're on to the third section, which is controlling your emotions. Now, I honestly think controlling your emotions is hugely necessary, despite what people on the internet think. Because, as we say before, stoicism is the art of transferring negative emotions to positive emotions, but that's not really controlling your emotions in general. Now, negative emotions and stress are incredibly bad things in your life. There is absolutely no point in fussing and fretting about something that you can't change, as we discussed in the first section, but you may be fussing and fretting about things that you can change, as opposed to actually changing them, which obviously you should do. And I've done videos on taking action before, which you can find on my channel. But yeah, being emotional uses a lot of energy. When you are stressing and fretting and worrying and being sad and crying and being angry, it uses up your energy. You do not need your energy to be used up by like having I'm not going to say panic attack, because a panic attack is a medical condition which people genuinely do have, which takes up a lot of their energy. People will get incredibly tired after a panic attack, and while there are steps to avoid having panic attacks, you can also take your own steps to avoid having these kind of emotional outbursts, because being emotional takes up your energy and you'll be incredibly tired, and after fussing and fretting about being able to not go to the gym or whatever, you're going to find that it's much tougher to do your workout or whatever, because you've used up so much energy. You may have heard of those kids in your school who are like incredibly angry and have those anger issues where something doesn't go their way and they flip tables, they throw chairs. And this is an example of not being in control of your emotions. And I'm not like putting down anyone who's got anger issues. This is a process, not an event. And controlling your emotions is something that you should probably learn to do. There's therapy for this. There's this video for this. There's other videos for this. And it's basically just deep breathing, meditation, journaling that's going to be so beneficial to helping you control your emotions. Because realistically, if you did a pie chart of everyone in the world, not many people do meditation and do journaling. And so, despite the fact that you may think, oh, this is incredibly obvious if I'm on self-improvement, then people who aren't on self-improvement may think, oh, this is like a lifesaver for me. Now I can actually start to do meditation and journaling, and I will start to be less angry and more in control of my emotions. But I also want to quickly talk about putting your energy towards positive emotions. Now, as we discussed in the first section with stoicism, you want to transfer your negative emotions into positive emotions, because that's obviously going to be more beneficial for your mental health. But I also want to say that you shouldn't divert all your energy into emotion in general. All your energy shouldn't go to positive emotions. You should have some energy that goes towards your goals and your ambitions in life. while love, compassion, and happiness are something that are incredibly good for you, and you should definitely divert your attention and your emotion and your energy in many cases towards those emotions, you shouldn't divert them all the time because it will distract you from your ambitions and your goals. And it's all like kind of about finding a balance between these things. And the way to control emotions, as I said before, basic practices like meditation and journaling, which may be the lifesaver and the thing that you desperately need right now. And obviously, I'm going to do a quick demonstration here on deep breathing exercises. Now, obviously, you can twist this and manipulate this to however you want to do it. There are different kind of breathing practices to increase your confidence because most people don't actually breathe correctly. A lot of people mouth breathe, which is breathing through your mouth, which can screw with the amount of air that actually gets to your muscles, therefore making you more tired, but also like your general jawline in general. And there's a practice about that called mewing, which I may talk about in a separate video, but that's nothing to do with controlling your emotions and becoming a more reserved person that diverts their energy to the things that they want to divert their energy towards. And there's a separate breathing practice which can actually be quite useful and is quite unheard of, and it's where you breathe in, but then you also breathe in and then you do a little more like breathing in right at the end. So you go like, and then you breathe out like a normal person. And I breathe out through the nose. I breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, and sometimes out through the nose. I'm not actually sure which one of those is better for you, but I just know that breathing in through the mouth is not something that you should do when you're doing your meditation and deep breathing practices, because when you're doing meditation, as I said in the first section about stoicism, you should focus on your breathing as opposed to the other thoughts that come into your head. And another thing that I forgot to mention back at the first section is that when you are focusing on your breathing, eventually you will your breathing will slow down, and you'll eventually carry on doing what you normally do during the day, which is the automated breathing, which your medulla, a part in your brain, controls. And then the thoughts will come in, and what you want to do is when you kind of have a kind of conscious awakening about the fact, oh yeah, I stopped focusing on my breathing, what you want to do is you want to almost remember the thoughts that came through your head when you were not focusing on your breathing. And that is why it's called kind of bicep curls for the brain, because you remember the things that you may have just passed by before when you were just having normal thoughts in your daily life. So I hope you found real value out of this video. It's probably one of my longest ones ever. And as I say, my coaching calls are in the link in the description if you want to have any help on anything kind of self-improvement related. And I recommend subscribing because I love this community of young tribal people who want to improve themselves so much more than they already have and live a natural, healthy lifestyle. So good luck.